I'm live. Okay. So all right. I don't need any of that. All right. Cool. Hello, everybody. It is Friday, May 26th at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And welcome to Tales from a Professional Nerd. My name is Bryan C.P. Steele, and I'll be your nerd today and any other day that you watch one of our silly little shows. All right, so the week in Bryan is going to be real quick. It's been ups and downs. We're getting towards the end of the Kickstarter, so things have been, crazy there. Trying to get updates out and answer questions and get people excited about things. But that being said, it's going really well. Actually, the Warzone Kickstarter is going really well. The Legendary Movie Package bundle with Kong Skull Island and Pacific Rim Dominion of Iron is also going well. Just lots of things going well. Game wise, I haven't really played anything lately. Some video games. That's about it. But I've been really focused on all the Kickstarters and working and all that kind of stuff. The Evil Genius Gaming gig, just as a heads. I have a different title. I'm now doing some producing of some of the products, so I'm kind of in charge of some of the products. Which is awesome. Some writing, helping designing, helping orchestrate things. It's cool. I'm really excited. It's that job position is really working out. Stuff with Warzone is going really well. Hello, Avi. Things are going really good. I'm very happy. There's always life stress. You can't help that. Always got to dealing with family turmoil, and people get sick, and one of my dogs just can't stop farting, like that sort of thing. It is what it is, life moves on. But overall, I gotta say things are all right. So I am happy. I can't really say anything super negative, which is good. That's the thing that you want. All right, I'm going to move the microphone a little closer. My feed isn't coming in very well. So 1 second. There we go. That should be a little better. Jakub says, really appreciated the breakdown of putting together sample forces for each of the factions. It explained a lot. Yes, Alex has been. So, if there's anything, I feel like maybe I could be doing more for the Kickstarter, for the Warzone Kickstarter. I try to answer questions when I can. I try to do these videos and stuff when I can. But Alex really has been just amazing. He's when it comes to Warzone, this is his baby. He is Res Nova. And seeing just the love for this product, the love for the lore, and his ability to stay grounded in what needs to be done at what time and things like that. It's really impressive. From an old industry veteran as myself, I'm super proud of what he has accomplished. I could say what we have accomplished, but he has really done so much for this on the back end. All of this administrative stuff is amazing. All right. Abby says, speaking of the updates, you guys can't do this tease. What are we teasing? Keep typing, bud. What are we teasing? Oh, the Wolfsbane and the Immaculate Fury looks good. Yes, you are super correct. And it's not a tease. They're going to happen. They're going to be. They're just not. They're in works in progress. But I will say this: someone commented on the in the thread that the Wolfsbane, his pose is a little weird because he's looking down. I actually said the same. As soon as I read that, I that's part of my art notes to the sculptor is that chin needs to come up some. I don't care if the gun is still pointed down, but that chin needs to come up just a little bit so he's maybe looking at people who aren't prone, that aren't on the ground. But it looks great. I love the style behind it. It looks it looks that kind of like that Celtic mercenary look without going so far as to be like, oh, these guys are unwashed barbarians. I like the fact that just he looks rugged, he looks cool, he looks armored, which is something that I think that the Wolfsbanes do need to have. They can't just all be, we're so buff, we ignore bullets. Oh, Bryan retracted a message. Oh, I wish I would have saw it. I wish I would have saw it because then you couldn't have retracted it so fast. But as far as the Immaculate Fury goes, when we started talking about that, the what was going to be next up before the apostles start getting the apostle boxes, is we were like, what could we do next? We don't want to do another big critter. I personally would love to throw my Bio Giant or the Isogul onto the table. But that's we also don't want it suddenly everyone, they're already they're already getting enough right. The last thing we want to do is be like, here's also another giant monster for other people to deal with, and they don't have their anti-tank stuff yet. No. But so it was actually Alex's idea. He goes, how about the Immaculate Furies? And I actually, not that I had forgotten that they existed, but I had forgotten that they fill a very cool role. They fill that kind of, I am an elite trooper. I'm big. I'm bigger and I'm scarier, but I'm not like Razid scary. I'm not Praetorian Stalker terrifying. And you wouldn't feel bad fielding 2 or 3 of these guys in the same force, kind of like the Attilas from Cybertronic. And so we started looking into them, and yeah, if anybody who has seen the old Immaculate Furies, some of them look really bad. I mean, like terrible. Some of them are okay, and the one thing that we wanted to keep throughout no matter what is that kind of collar shape without turning into a giant metal daisy like it is on some of the old models. And then it came down to us talking about how they're going to be equipped. So in the lore, it does talk about how the Immaculate Furies have this cool screech, like this. They have this like howling screech that they can do, this furious howl, if you will. And so we want their rules will reflect something like that. And then Alex dug up a really, really, really cool piece of old Algaroth lore that we looked at and said, you know what, this is going to be cool. So I don't want to share too much because it hasn't been through playtest yet, and I don't want to get anybody's hopes up. But our goal is to make an Immaculate Fury or a box of Immaculate Furies or whatnot that will have a weapon that has never been shown in Warzone models before. It's existed for a long, long time, but it's never actually been made in model form. And we think that the Immaculate Furies are a perfect candidate to carry it. So, all right. Bryan asks, anything we as fans can do to help with the Kickstarter in the last few days, social sharing, etc. Yeah, honestly, that's the big thing is showing people, showing people the Kickstarter, spreading it to different groups. And we're in the final stretch. We're in that last week, and we know that there's going to be some bump up. We know that we've got a few updates up our sleeves. I'm not having no sleeves today, but we've got a few more updates on our sleeves to help push some of those numbers there in the end. But I think the big thing is especially the pictures. The pictures of the different art, the concept sketches, the renders, the 3D renders, any of the painted models that might be up, spreading those around and getting people excited about things. The fact that Alex just played that demo game to show somebody how a game plays, is really good. It's a much better video than some of the others that have been created. Like it was, clear in sound, and you knew what was going on with the table. So I would just, you basically share a lot of that kind of stuff. And if you've got people who are on the fence, if they're like, I don't know, I don't feel like backing it. If you've got a friend that, is maybe wishy-washy about being a backer, like they're not ready to buy in, maybe see if you can be like, hey, throw me $50 and I'll get you a starter box. I'll get you a starter box on mine. I'll add your starter to my collection, and you can pay me $50 for it or whatever. That these are options to try and get other people in, because that's the big thing is we want to grow the audience. It's not all about just getting the same nostalgia folks and that sort of thing. It's about growth. It's about getting it into retail. If you've got a retail store, now we do know that people have been taught. I'm going to sneeze. Is it alone? It's alone. Okay. We know that there are stores that are like, I just don't back Kickstarters. I'm not involved. If that's the case, if they don't want to back a Kickstarter, but they still want to be part of this, tell them to email us. We'll still, even if they don't want to do the backing levels and get the freebies and all that kind of stuff, that's if they still want to be part of the list that we talked to about, hey, here's how we set you up for a retail account. Give them our email address. That I'm going to type it into the thing right now. resnovagames@gmail.com. Boop. Give them that address and we'll talk to them. We'll try and work something out, even if they're not in the Kickstarter itself. Maybe we can figure out something to get some product to them and get them as part of, because we're not going to be big enough initially to get into some of those giant distros that some of these stores like, well, I only buy from ACD, I only buy from Alliance. That's not going to help us, because ACD and Alliance, those big wigs, they require significant numbers out of the gate before you can really even set up an account with them. So we need the stores to help get us to that level, because once we get to that level, then we can go to ACD and be like, hey, you want 1,000 of each starter? Then we'll get you 1,000 of each starter. But we've got to be able to create that footprint first. It's all about intelligent, slow growth. Jacob says the lore behind the Wolfsbanes is really cool too. Yeah, Wolfsbanes are rad. They're a cool facet of the Mutant Chronicles and always have been. I do think that there are parts of their lore that needs a little updating, that are a little old-minded, we'll say. But collectively, the Wolfbanes are really, really cool. I dig them. And in fact, there is one particular Wolfbane model that was the creation of its own special rule. Like when we were creating the units to try and figure out how to to do things in playtest, there was one thing that was like, nah, this guy's gotta, it has to be reflected, and this is the only way to do it. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see some of this stuff get past my playtest where it gets out. So one of the things, our playtesting groups are significant. Actually, we're signing new ones on all the time. We do the initial design, we look at it, we do some tweaks if things are just really, really just out of pocket. Like we look at it and go, yeah, that's not right. We make our initial adjustments, and then we give them out to the playtesters. And then, before it goes to the open playtesters, I don't know if I'm pretty sure Alex does. He might get a game or two in with them. I know I get a few games in with them with my local playtest folks. To just really to kind of iron out the oh, hey, that just does not function. Like if a special ability, it isn't that it's bad, it like just doesn't work. You're like, oh, that needs to be worded differently, because otherwise it has no purpose. We try and get that all ironed out before it gets to the open playtesters, and the open playtesters are the various groups that we have in our little secret Facebook cabal. And then it's just about ironing out all of the issues and problems until the point where you get it and go, I like where this is at. It feels good. It feels distinct, and more importantly, it's still fun on the tabletop. That's more than anything. You guys can we can debate game theory and rules theory all day long, but at the end of the day, everything I want absolutely everything for this game. When someone either looks at the model and looks at the rules and looks at the lore and goes, "Oh, I got to figure out a way to use this." Maybe not. It's in maybe it's not in every one of their armies. Maybe it's not. It doesn't grace the pages of every force that they've ever built. But it does. It's something that they want to bring at least once. They want to try this combo that they figured out and go, "Oh, this is going to be cool." That's my goal, is to make every single unit something that you want to at least try to put into the occasional force, because it's got a fun flavor of some kind. What we got? Bryan says it's there again. I just accidentally appended the second question. Okay. Yaku says, like, anyone can challenge to be a leader if he thinks he'd do a better job, but not during wartime. Yeah, again, there's a bunch of cool lore in the Wolfbanes. They're great. Speaking of stalkers, I recently ordered 2 for my first edition Legion force, and due to a mistake in communication, I actually ordered 2 pairs. So now I have 4 first edition stalkers. So yes, I had I think I may have had 3 or 4 original Praetorian stalkers back in the day, because they're so good. They're so good. And all of the models, even the ones from like Protoss that were a little, in my opinion, a little thin of limb, they've all been good. It's a good solid piece of art that backs up a very solid, cool model. I just personally think that ours are the best, but I digress. All right, what do we got? Where is the Immaculate Fury teaser? Oh. Let me find. Let me grab it real quick, and I'll give you the link. I'll give you the link to. Yeah. All right. Come on. The internet is slow, probably because I'm doing a live. All right. It is the link off of the updates. Read more. Man, that Wolfbane's cool looking. All right, and then this is the link. I'm putting the link in the chat right now for Petros. Follow that link, and that will send you to the that'll send you to the article that talks about the Immaculate Fury and the process that we are using to create our version. No problem. Cormac, hey, what's up, Cormac? First off, anybody who's listening, and anybody who watches this later, Cormac McAvoy is has done some of the best on the spot fan built graphic commercial little gifs and like little tiny videos and things. He did one that was the Nephirite render bouncing around the universe and falling out of volcanoes, and I sat there and giggled like a child watching this stupid video. So Cormac, if we've gotten any backers based off of your crazy fan built awesomeness, thank you so much. I every time I'd open up the Facebook page and see that there's another video or a clip or a cute little comic or something, I kept wondering. I was like, did Alex hire somebody to do these fun little things? Because they're awesome, and you should absolutely continue your focus on making fun internet things. You really, really should. Petra says, Cormac says, what will the Praetorian Stalkers need to field? points and support points. Will it be in the faction overview? So I don't write the faction overviews. So Alex is writing those. I do not know if he's going to cover the stalkers in there, but I will say this: there are 4 types of models. Technically 5, but we have not seen the 5th kind yet because they show up later. There are leaders, there are troopers, there are specialists, and there are support. And the way this works is, in order to have a leader, you got to have at least 1 trooper with that leader of the same kind. Okay. In order to have specialists, you got to have at least 1 trooper of the same unit type of that thing, of that critter, or whatever the specialist is. Like if it's a Golden Lion operator, Golden Lion medic, then you have to have at least 1 Golden Lion trooper. Okay. And then the last thing is those support models. Support models, while they do have unit types, sometimes they don't always have unit types. So things like the Praetorian Stalkers, you're not going to find a Praetorian Stalker leader. You're not going to find the Attilas. Attilas are a great thing of this. There is an Attila that just has a what is the thing? The AR-3000, a regular assault rifle. That's classified as a trooper. The guy with the flamethrower and the guy with the heavy machine gun, those are both technically support models. They just cost points and support points. So that's the stickling thing. So something like a Praetorian Stalker is going to be technically a support model because it costs deployment points and support points, and you don't have any other requirement to take them. So in theory, you could take a leader, just maybe a Nephirite, and then just take a bunch of Praetorian Stalkers. Now, I say bunch, but those points are going to go really freaking quick, and you're not going to have a whole lot going with you, because even as the Nephirite's a leader, he still needs a trooper that he can lead, that basically falls into his leader type. Now, the Nephirite has the awesome benefit of being a leader for any Algorothian troopers. So if you don't want to include Undead Legionnaires, you don't have to. You could just take a bunch of Necromutants, or later on Immaculate Furies. So there's ways, depending on the leader that you take. There are some leaders that just Fury Elites from the Brotherhood. Fury Elites have leader any Brotherhood. So as long as there is a trooper, a Brotherhood trooper of some kind, you can take a Fury Elite. And also in the field of battle, that means that leader, that Fury Elite, can basically give orders and do cool leader things to any Brotherhood forces, because basically they see the fact that there's that awesome Baroque clad Fury Elite, and they go, yeah, well, he's the boss, he knows what's up. So, or she, they, whatever. River Caracas. If you were to buy 2 each of one big fella add-on for the Dark Legion, would you buy 2 Razid boxes or 2 Praetorian Stalker boxes? If I were to buy 2 each of one big fella, man. If I were to buy 2 each, I feel like this is an SAT question. If you were to buy 2 each, so 2 Razids and 2 boxes of Praetorians, it's going to get you 4 Praetorians and 2 Razids. And if we unlock the Nephirite, 2 Nephirites, if you were to buy 2, would you buy 2 Razid boxes or 2 Praetorian Stalker boxes? So now, if you wanted 2 each of the critters, you would buy 2, because there's only 1 Razid in his box. He has 3 weapon options, but there's only 1 actual Razid in his box. The Praetorians actually come 2 to 1 box. If that, I think that answers your question. I think so. Korak says, can you give us any more info on the leftover deployment point abilities? So some of them are being play tested. I went through and I designed there are multiple options for everything. There's a handful of generic options. Basically, any force can use these. and they're minor. They're the kind of things that you think they would be. An extra clip for this guy, so he ignores his first reload. The maybe adding a reroll of some kind. Like they're just generic type things. Maybe a model that can be that starts the game 5 inches closer to the enemy, or can take a free movement at the beginning of the game before the initiative roll. That's the kind of things like the generic stuff would be. But then every faction has got their own list. It's a short list. Like, don't think that it's a bazillion feet long or anything. But it's all things that is symbolic to that faction. Someone mentioned. Hi, Alfie. Someone mentioned in the Cybertronic kind of tactical readout that there is a way for them to ignore the art and dark symmetry, and that was basically that was a way for us to reflect some of that older. Back in the day, the AIs from Cybertronic were just like, they were like immune to symmetry effects and things like that. And the way that we've generally reflected that is that Cybertronic models tend to have a higher power stat, even though they don't cast spells. They tend to have a higher power stat to be more resistant to other people's art and dark symmetry. But in the faction abilities, the kind of the force enhancements is what I call them. The force enhancements, you can spend one extra point that your math didn't work out, or you saved one specifically for this, in an effort to make one of your Cybertronic models even more resilient to those things during the game. That way it's not a blanket rule that suddenly we have to make your entire force more expensive, and it does absolutely nothing for you if you're not fighting Brotherhood or Dark Legion. Because that's always one thing that it bugs me sometimes, especially in a game where some of the factions have toys that other people do not, is why should you constantly pay for the thing if maybe in your local meta no one plays Dark Legion? It's doubtful. Dark Legion's awesome. But so that's kind of where this comes from, is these force enhancements allow you to tweak your force. And maybe the last thing you want to do, like, you're playing your bow, you buy your Bauhaus stuff, and you're putting together a force, and like your buddy's like, let's play 50 points, and you're like, ooh, okay, and you start putting things together, and you realize that the only way that you can get to 50 is that if you get rid of this heavy machine gunner and you put in 2 hussars, and you're looking at this and you're like, but I don't want to field hussars. I've decided this is not my hussar force. So you basically take those guys out, and then now you've got suddenly a deficit of 2 points. Those extra points, we wanted to give you an option basically to be able to massage the math to make it so it fits more, and also anything that adds to the thematic nature of a Warzone game is a plus as far as I'm concerned. There is one particular aspect, and I can't get into it. I know I'm teasing. I'm super teasing right now. There is one aspect of the force enhancements that I think I'm very proud of, and I guess 2, but one of them I can really talk about is there are a lot of, if you go back into the old Warzone games, there are a lot of dark gifts for the Dark Legion, a ton of them. And trying to describe all of them and codify all of them in a game that you're trying to make to be skirmish level a little simpler, especially some of the weird ones where you can't describe it as a single action kind of thing. We've reflected some of those in the force enhancements based under the apostles. So it's a way for you to, in the old game you basically would spend extra points and your Nephirite learned this spell, or your Necromagus learned this spell, like that was a thing. And rather than actually adding it to a model and making that model more expensive, potentially throwing off the scoring values and things like that, I thought it would make more sense for us to have some of these dark symmetry powers as force enhancements that are not a specific model casting a spell, more of the army is creating this effect in some fashion. Okay. River Carcass says, that was a badly phrased question. My bad. I was asking more for gameplay reasons. Would 4 Stalkers or 2 Razids be feasible on the table? If both are feasible, which would you prefer? Oh, all right. So 4 Stalkers, you are going to be needing to be playing at least a 45-point game, 46-point game. Yeah, you're going to need to be playing a massive game because 4 Stalkers by themselves is like 40 deployment points. Like that's a lot of points. 2 Razids are feasible on the table, but that's still, it's going to be a big chunk of your army is having 2 big heavy weapons platforms like that running around on the battlefield. So one of the things with the Dark Legion is the reason why they've got Legionnaires, the reason why they have the currently the cheapest unit in the game is because we know that people want to field the big Griblies. They want to field the monsters. Praetorian Stalkers are better if you field them in pairs, but that's 20 deployment points. Like we know that's a significant amount of your force if you are devoting it to those 2 guys. Now they're going to do a lot of work. Or are they going to do a lot of work? But you've got to keep in mind that that's in a 40-point game. That's half your force in 2 dudes. That's a lot. So yeah, if both things are feasible, what I would prefer, I would actually prefer, honestly, 2 Stalkers and one Razid. If you had enough points to field 4 or 2 of it, is I would meet you in the middle. I do 1 Razid as like the big heavy kind of backup. He's sort of backup support, and then you send out those Stalkers to go deal with their prey, because you're gonna want to keep those Stalkers within 12 inches of them if you can, 12 inches of each other if you can help it, because it makes both of them cooler. Okay, Warzone Chronicles says, I know that the key powers are sort of within the unit's special abilities, but what could be one of the things that Mishima could spend spare deployment points on? So one of the things that there is, you're welcome, River Caracas. One of the things that Mishima had in the old games was the poorly named bonsai charge. So that was a thing that they had the ability to do, is that basically they had a special form of charging. Like they could do this cool thing. And we wanted to be able to reflect that without turning it into a I mean, I'll come out and say it, without being horribly culturally insensitive to the Asian American or Asian folks. So there are some people who have, there's some Mishima models that obviously have really high close combat stats. There's a few fierce charges coming down the pipe. There's a few models that their weapons have vicious, to kind of take into consideration some of that, super close combatness. But one of the things that I do think that will be nice will be able to reflect some of that extra cool, the moment, now is this awesomeness that I get to do as a close combat super dude with perhaps force enhancements. Again, a lot of this stuff is still being play tested. So I don't want to just outright say, this is what we did. But there will definitely be ways to enhance enhance your already significant close combat abilities. You'll be able to kind of sneak in a little extra here and there. Yeah. What else? Anything else? We've run out of topics. So in the meantime, I'm gonna show you guys some stuff. So I I officially have my Free Marines painted, no, primed. So I'm going to start. So I'm going to be at Origins. Alex and I are going to Origins in Columbus, Ohio at the end of June. And we're going to bring, we actually have a booth there. So we're going to bring stuff. And I wanted to make sure that I brought at least one new starter set of models to be able to do some demos. So I'm painting up my Capital starter faction. I already got my Martian Banshee done. He looks great. I love me some Martian Banshees. And then I'm starting in on my Sunset Strikers, and then there'll be some Free Marines. But yeah, so if you're going to be at Origins, you should swing by and play with us. But what I want to show you is, so when we unlocked the first time we unlocked the base decoration STLs. Cheers, Bryan. I love this AMA format, by the way. I love being live too, but I've got to say, this was so. All right, before I get into what I'm going to tell you a funny story. So I was planning on recording a cool video talking about, I technically actually have 2 Kickstarters going right now. I've got the one for Warzone Eternal, which we're having a fun talking about right now because that's what most of you are here for. But I also am the executive producer for the Pacific Rim Dominion of Iron role-playing game product that's at Kickstarter as well. So I'm having a good time with that too. My goal was to have basically today's episode that I would record yesterday, basically just kind of talking about what it's like to be involved in all of these projects at once, to see kind of the state of Bryan's Kickstarter brain currently. And at some point during recording yesterday, this happened. I moved the camera and I bumped my shutter. And so the last half of my video, last like 2/3 of my video, was recorded like this. So I went in to go edit the video last night and I saw that I did this and I started laughing. It was just so stupid. And unfortunately, there's just no way to fix it and I'm not about to I wasn't about ready to publish a video where 2/3 of it is looking at a lens cap. Oh, it's so stupid. So that was why today became an AMA. And I'll probably do more of these. I enjoy these a lot. I don't know if the topics will probably change from time to time, but yeah. So I do want to talk. I want to show you these. When we unlocked the STLs the first time, before there was a bunch of back and forth whatever, I immediately threw them on my printer, and I want to show them to you. So we got the little knife. It's a Punisher, a Punisher short sword, and like a boot knife that have been lashed together to form like a little headstone. We have the Algaroth cross stuck in the ground. We have a couple of human skulls. These are going to be particularly hard to see. Oh, there you go. A couple of human skulls. We have the Undead Legionnaire spiky helmet. And then we have the Undead Legionnaire shoulder pads of doom. Just a couple of shoulder pads. And then everybody's favorite Nephirite skull on a stick. Let's see if I can show you the detail on that. Yeah, but it's cool. Whoa. It's pretty cool. So I got those printed up, and I'm gonna mount them to some bases. And rather than using them to decorate my models' bases, I think I'm actually going to create a few graphic, like 3D objective markers is what I think I'm gonna use them for. Now, objective markers in Warzone do not have any. There's no terrain feature factor. There's no this. It doesn't take rough terrain or anything like that. You can't hide behind them. So putting any kind of terrain on there, in theory, could cause problems with like really big bases sitting on top of it or something. But for the most part, I think that'll be fine. Gamers Haven, hi Gamers Haven, says, how would a 75 or 100 point game feel or work? So I had the largest game that I have played is 70 points, and it took a long time, and that battlefield was absolutely chock full of dudes. So I think a 75 or 100 point game is the kind of thing that you are making an agreement ahead of time that this is not a normal game, that this game is massive, and that you're going to devote a great deal of your day doing this. It could be a lot of fun, but it's probably going to be long no matter what. I think when we start getting into the triple digits of deployment point games, that's kind of where I'm expecting us to lean a little further toward, all right, now we're starting to get into games that are big enough that maybe there needs to be another rule, an addended rule set on how to do activations, start doing group activations or limited number of activations per turn, per side, or whatever. That's not even something that is currently even on our radar. We know that it'd be really cool to be able to do something like that in the future and be able to add some of the larger vehicles and things that have been concepted from the Mutant Chronicles over time. But our main focus for at least the first 5 years is getting the models out for these factions, spreading the love down into like the Dark Eden factions. That's really what we want to get focused on. I think my goal personally, and Alex can probably step in here and go, Brian's goal is crazy. My goal is to get a sizable force for all of the regular factions, all of the apostles, and then at that point, then start bleeding into some of the Dark Eden stuff and make smaller factions for them to give us players something to grow on. And just like before, there will be ways to, mix and match a little bit here and there to, borrow people or put corporate assets with your Dark Eden stuff. We haven't ironed it all out completely and how to handle the tribes. But I do know that one of the things that we want to do is make sure that all of the rest of the mainstay factions, including all the apostles, have a solid field of choices before we start getting into Dark Eden. Anything you can say about the retail release schedule after the initial release? Monthly releases, bi-monthly, etc. Will everything be in boxes or will it be character blisters? All right, so we are looking, hopefully, we're still talking to some packaging companies to try and figure out the most cost-efficient way to do this. We want to do just boxes. Blisters are an absolute pain in the ass, and a lot of stores really don't use them anymore. They don't use peg wall. They don't, like, a lot of stores don't have blister capable shelving and things. So we're definitely gonna look at boxes. As for like a release schedule, I don't want to even remotely act like I can give you a number on that. I know what I would love to be able to say is that, like, we'll have something coming out every month or every other month or whatever. But I don't even know if that's realistic. I know nothing on that. It's going to come, a lot of it's also going to come down to, once we get this stuff shipped out and we fulfill to backers and get those stores their stuff, it's going to depend on how fast, how quickly they turn around and start reordering boxes. If that stuff sells really, really quick off their shelves, then yeah, we're going to need to do, new print runs, that kind of thing. So I am excited to see how that goes. But it is very much up in the air. Cormac says, Trencher question. Entrenched, do these figures lose entrenched after they move, or do they get to use the special ability again during the game? No. Once they move, they've left their protective trench. We simplified that a great deal because we didn't want to add additional counters to the game. One of the things that did come up during playtest is, well, we could just package the trenchers with a entrenched counter, and then during a game they could spend an action to re-entrench. And then it actually occurred to me that digging a trench, even if it's just like a 6-inch shallow divot for your dude to sit in, enough to get cover and things, that takes hours. That's not something you can do in the heat of battle. Is hang on guys, let me get my shovel out. Like that just doesn't make any sense. So entrenched for the trenchers, basically they start the game with this cool bonus because they've already dug that trench, they've already dug in their hole, and that's the thing. And then once the game proceeds, they can continue getting that bonus. They can stay there forever. But as soon as they move, they have left the protection of the sandbags and the trench and all that kind of stuff, and now they're out and about. So now, obviously, YTYC, your table, your call. You could, you could make like a special like terrain feature that is a bunch of trenches, and you could say that maybe trenchers, when they get into the trench, count as being entrenched or whatever. That's up to you. But the letter of the special ability is, once they've moved from their initially entrenched position, they lose that protection. Is that the Gamers Haven in Colorado Springs, Colorado? If so, what's up? Old customer here. I don't know if that's the Gamers Haven in Colorado Springs, Colorado. And yes, it is. Gamers Haven says that it is. So look at this. Bringing people together. Bringing people together over the love of professional nerding. Sorry, very thirsty. It's because I'm talking so much. I just got a message through Facebook. Another YouTuber has asked. He goes, Bauhaus will challenge you to a video battle report whenever the Kickstarter delivers. Challenge accepted, Chris. You are close enough that we can have that. We'll have it out. And who knows? Maybe I'll bring like a fancy toy, and we'll make people go ooh ah. Your video will be the first place they get to see it, perhaps. James Bullen says, just for fun question, Bryan Winter added his wife Diana to the lore for the Doom Trooper card game. Any plans for you and Alex to do likewise to the lore with some Easter eggs? So we've talked a little bit about these kinds of things, and I think the best way for us to do this, if we want to put, we are already getting to put our fingerprints in this universe. We're already getting to make this really cool game, to make the couple of small canon and aesthetic changes that we're making, and we're writing a bunch of new lore. Like there's a whole bunch of new fiction and stuff that's coming out. So we're probably going to get an opportunity to add some of our own characters and flavor and things into some of the fiction stories. But as for actually adding them to the game, like as an actual model or something, there are so many units that we still want to see realized. Putting something for ourselves in front of those would just seem wrong, in my opinion. So I think for right now, the closest thing you might see is maybe like a scenario only model or a scenario only set of stats or something like that matches to someone, for us to Easter egg. But for the most part, I think we're really just going to focus on trying to make the best game that we can, rather than making a bunch of hubris models for ourselves. Okay, talking. We got Gamers Haven and Petros having a conversation. That's cool. I love that. David Letizia says, will we see model stats before the end of the Kickstarter, even if it isn't an Excel spreadsheet form if the cards are not ready? Okay, so our goal before the end of the Kickstarter, unlikely. Our goal is to basically when we have the rule book in a state where we are like the proto rule book, like here's the beta rule book in a nice fat PDF. We will probably send out cards at that time, or we'll post up cards at that time. But we don't. The last thing we want to do is send out a bunch of stuff that's not finalized. And some of these things still have some tweaking. Not a lot. Like I don't want you to think that it's like the game's half baked or anything. There's just a few things that as we play this game more and more, occasionally we'll run into something and go, "Hey, this is an issue. We need to iron that out." Or, "Oh, hey, the game was we were making this mistake and the game was way more fun. We need to turn that mistake into a real rule." And that's happened a couple of times. We had a playtester who was playing one particular rule completely wrong, but kept saying how awesome their games were, and so we took what they were doing wrong, played it on our table, and was like, yeah, this is actually more fun than the way we had it. So we made the change in the rule book, and currently the playtest rule book does not show that. So that's what we're trying to get at, is we want to make sure that everything is as ironed out as possible before we send that stuff out to the masses, because the very last thing we want to do is have someone go, I've played the game this way because I've got this rule book, and this guy goes, I've played the game this way because I've got this rule book, or we both have different cards for different guys, or different cards for the same guy. So it's just to try and avoid confusion, and also to make sure that we have everything that lined up the way we want it before we disseminate that information out to the public. Fingers crossed that Crimson Devils are high on that list. I do like me some Crimson Devils. Now, that being said, I know that the Showa Ace and the Tiger Dragon, the Battlesuit troops, are pretty high on Alex's list. So we'll see where that goes. We also don't know who is right now. There's currently one backer who is going to help us decide what one of the new units in the next couple of waves is going to be. He's going to help us design that. Help us play test with the whole 9 yards. We don't even know what that is yet because the Kickstarter is not done. For all I know, that person could be you. For all I know, that person might go, you know what? Crimson Devils it is. We love the Crimson Devils. That's what we're going to do. And so, there we might see a push that way. I don't know. There's that air of mystery that is still kind of hanging over our heads. Plus, there's still some things that we have in the works that you guys haven't seen yet. So, yeah. I think that there was an initial mention of the Redemption Assassin being a character that can be taken in light side armies as allies. But I think the actual list only had mortificators, which is right. So the Redemption Assassin is a mortificator. He also has the advisor trait. So that's just, keep that in mind. It's not about the unit type. It's about whether or not they have the advisor trait. So Rez, no. Oh, hi, Alex. Oh, Alex is listening. Everybody, don't tell him all the things that I told you. We'll have cards out at the same time that we release the PDF rulebook. Okay, that'll be before the Pledge Manager closes, so you'll have a look in it before you have to commit to anything. Understandable. Tiger Dragons are incredibly cool. Tiger Dragons. I like them in theory. I like them in theory. I just hate the way they look. I know I'm in a very lonely room in that opinion, but I have every faith. Seeing how the Shadow Walkers turned out, I have every faith in Alex's ability to have every faith in Alex's ability to make things that used to be derpy look really, really cool. So I wash my hands of it. Gamer Thompson, you are, and you should. Oh, they're still having their conversation. David says, "How many advisors can you take? Is it one per leader or another metric?" It's a completely separate metric, because the advisors. So the way that the reinforcements work is that you basically have a certain amount of points that you can put into your reinforcements pool, and then when you go build your build your force. I don't know why that word just got stuck in my face. When you go to build your force, you learn your scenario, you learn which side of the scenario you're on, or you decide if you're playing friends, whatever. And you can then mix and match out of your reinforcements pool so long as your force is legal. That's all that matters. You got to make sure that you have a legal force. And the advisor, the advisors, generally speaking, most of the advisor models are troopers. Troopers or support, meaning that they just cost a couple of support points, and you can have them so long as you've got the points to field them, that you've got the points to field them. And the only place that would be weird is that if you had an advisor that was a leader, because then you would also need to have a trooper that is an advisor-based trooper to come with them, that sort of thing. So there's still some leeway there, but for the most part, the only people who have the advisor models, or the advisor models, the models that have the advisor trait, for the most part, those will be classified as support models anyway. So you're basically just, as long as you've got the points to pay for them, what the deployment points and the support points, and they can fit into your force legally. Warzone Chronicles. Oh yeah, brace yourself for the Tiger Dragons. Like I said, I like them in concept, and I have every faith that Alex will make them look way cooler than that ridiculous piece of art and any of the models that have come before. If not, I'll quit my job. No kidding, totally kidding, absolutely joking. But I do think that Alex has such a great grasp of what the unit is supposed to be in the lore, and also what makes a cool model, like what makes a model cool looking, that he puts those together in a really good way. Can the current rules be supported in a game hall style tournament? So I have been making miniature game rules off and on for almost 20 years, and almost every game that I have ever worked for had a tournament aspect to it. It has always been part of my design brain, is to go, people are going to want to play this in tournaments. So there's always ways to create, to bring in that sort of organized play tournament sense into the game. Most of that's going to be based on the scenarios rather than the game itself, but things like the reinforcement sidebar, the light side dark side thing, that all came out, that all was spawned out of the idea of different players randomly coming together like you would in a tournament. Cormac, things are reinforcements Hollywood made because of the competitive play. There you go. We Alex and I were already thinking alike. River Cardiacus, I come at the Tiger Dragons from the other direction. The art is super cool, but conceptually it felt unnecessary to me. Mishima is already awesome at melee. Those Crimson Devils, though. Someone's got Crimson Devils on the brain. Yeah, see, I know, like I said, I know that I'm in a room of very few people. The Tiger Dragons they just look like they're wearing ridiculous Tupperware power armor. And Alex has already got it covered. So look at that. All right, so we are coming up on my hour. And then I actually have to get back to other work stuff. But this has been fun. An impromptu live chat about things. I'll try and do these more as episodes if I don't have anything cool to do an episode. These are always fun. They're not always going to be about Warzone. So for some of you that are only here for Warzone questions, you'll have to realize that I'm going to be talking about other stuff too. But yeah, I think for the most part, these are interesting. These are fun, and I love to interact with people. Everybody who knows me knows that there's not a microphone that I don't like. Speaking of which, speaking of microphones that I need to check an email real quick to tell you what it is. What is it called? I am going to be live about role playing games Saturday night. What is the name of your show? Epic Realms. Epic Realms is doing a game master quorum at so it's 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So it's like midnight in Great Britain, but so it's 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on the Epic Realms Twitch channel. We are going to be talking about Everyday Heroes role playing game system. I'm probably going to talk a lot about Pacific Rim. And I know that I'm going to be doing a little bit. I had asked the guy, I was like, if it's just role playing, can I pitch my Kickstarters a little bit? So I'm probably going to do a shameless plug and maybe get us some love from a different audience. But if you're interested to hear about my take on role playing games and game mastering and things, Saturday night at Epic Realms is where you will find me. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between, please, please, please be safe. Get vaccinated, get boosted, wear a mask in place if you have to. Don't lick doorknobs. That's always a good thing. Just honestly, just try and leave every little room just a wee bit happier than when you got there. And between now and next week, play some games. Thanks for watching.